Stalker the board game has snuck its way into our house and onto the table. There's a lot of boxes here. We're going to do a little bit of an unboxing, but we're also going to talk about the game itself. I'm going to be honest with you. I opened up the box. I pulled out the rule book.
Yeah, a little. We did a little bit.
Pretty intense rule book.
Yeah, and we had to assemble, and we wanted to pre-assemble the campaign binder. Yes. I think when a game comes with a binder to hold everything, you know you're in for an experience.
Yeah, and there are other games that do that, of course, if you're familiar with other Awakened Realms games, like ISS Vanguard had a big binder, things like that. But the rule book alone, and we won't spit. We'll just keep talking.
What's this? What is this secret envelope?
It's a little letter that says open here. It doesn't say. I thought this was going to be classic Awakened Realms, like here's some sort of special thing about our next game that you don't know about.
Oh, they do that sometimes.
It wasn't that. It was basically, dear backer, we're proud to present, you know, et cetera and so forth. It was a nice thank you letter.
Yeah, and this is delivering, like we said. And if you don't know anything about Stalker, this is an adaptation of the video game. And David and I did get a chance to play a prototype of this, which we know there have been some changes. So
the binder specifically
the binder for one thing.
And I want to point this out.
I mean, rules changes though. Of course, like
I do think there's rule changes. But I wanted to point this out really quick. The campaign binder. What we had was like a 3-ring binder.
Yeah.
And they'd since decided to do it this way. And I'm going to say right now, I like this better.
Yeah, it's nice.
This works better. It looks cooler. It's going to fit in the box. Binders, unless the box accounts for it, binders can be problematic.
They can.
I've had plenty of games. Even spiral ring books sometimes are like, I can't get this to fit back in the box just so. Or it might fit in the box, but everything's lopsided.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of storage. You'll see, we peeked a little bit. Yeah. Not into all these boxes because we do have more boxes off to the side. But this is the main kind of Stalker box. Like David said, we did already kind of flip through the rule book, but like this thing is intense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a textbook.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of detailed rules. I'm not going to lie. Little intimidated, and we even spent some time playing the prototype. On top of that, this is, put that back up. It's a gameplay example. So if you read this at the top of the gameplay example, it says, here's something we recommend, and I think strongly recommend you play through, and probably similar to what we played in the prototype is my guess.
Yeah.
But it says, after having read the rules, this isn't a jump right in. This is okay, now you've read the rules, step 2, we're going to ease you in to remind you of all the things you just read before you really get underway in the campaign, because the campaign is massive.
And I think part of the reason this rulebook is so big and why there's so much to this game is because this is like so many other games in one. I mean, you've got your tactical game, which we've had tactical miniatures games before. Yep. You've got your story narrative aspect of the game. You've got your exploration aspect of the game. You've got your base building aspect of the game, or your camp, or whatever you want to call it. You've got your survival. Like, there are so many different, I don't want to call them mini games because they're really not.
No, but
so many different systems that are in play that all kind of work together.
If you've ever played a game that you would regard as a kitchen sink game,
yeah,
this might be one of those. It does a lot of everything. It's not like we've streamlined this to do one thing and one thing specifically. It does a lot of the kind of things that you'd want from a game like this. Yeah, a lot of cardboard.
Oh, man, if I dropped this on the table, this would be, yeah.
I cracked open some of the plastic there.
Rip it open?
Rip it open.
Look at that. And this, I have no idea what this is.
Yeah.
But this was not in our prototype.
No, for sure. And also, I wanted to point out, again, in addition to the rule book and the gameplay example that we just opened, you've got the zone survival rules and scripts. That's another, like, look at this. It's just... look at that page.
That's a lot.
Now, they look specific to the missions.
And of course, this is, still tactical. So you still have all of your huge...
Yeah, look how big the map is.
Yeah,
like, that was the size of a tile. You can see here how many tiles will go together in a lot of cases.
On the dials, we have the cool dials that you use to build out. So there's a fair amount of punch. Not the most that we've seen. This is not Gloomhaven levels of punching.
Well, but also,
it is quite a lot of punch board.
A lot of that cardboard will likely be replaced with miniatures as well. But
sure, all the enemies and everything.
Let's spend a time looking at this. I don't know that I want to open this up and start pulling it apart.
I want to at least pull a little bit of it apart. This is cool. I've never seen something like this in a game before.
These aren't stickers. We thought they were at first, and I don't want them to fall apart. But as you can see here, they're like transparent overlays, which to me seems like one of the coolest things. Have you ever seen it in a game?
No, I have never seen something like this in a game before. And what I'm imagining, since there's these numbers in the center of each one of these, can I punch one? Is that well, maybe not. They're in there. Oh, there's a film. So never mind. I'm not going to. But I imagine that you center this on the number on the map, and it's pointing out. Like all these different icons become like points of interest or something. It looks like.
Yeah, I don't know if it's points of interest. There's a lot of little icons in a very small amount of space. Yeah. But I think it's cool. And my guess is given the expense of something like this, they chose to do that for a very specific purpose.
They call them anomaly overlays. So that must be all where you would mark all the different anomalies. That kind of makes sense too. These patterns are like swirly patterns and stuff.
So the next thing too, because this is a campaign, and I don't know if we've gotten some duplicates here. There's some that are in a pack, and then there's this, which is like
these are different.
The maps appear to be the same. The stickers might be in a different order.
No, this is so. It looks like they gave us and maybe this
another set.
Another set, because if you're playing the campaign, you're going to be marking up your map. Every campaign, when you start fresh, it says. Start with a brand new map. So it looks like they've given us two maps.
The map out here.
2 maps, and I guess this is a good time to even mention. We also got another recharge pack.
Yeah, they have a refresh.
Which looks like this recharge pack is 3 more sets. So you have 5 sets. You can play the campaign 5 times. Now, I don't know if you're going to play the campaign 5 times, but it also allows you to have multiple different campaigns going.
Oof. Oof. I will say this. If you invest enough time to actually learn this game, maybe it might be worth playing that many times.
I mean, I'm going to be happy to get through the campaign once.
Next up are these player boards. And I know this is a tiny little thing. It happens in a lot of games. But so many games like this, the player boards are not color-coded. They're usually the player board specific. And then the other components, like the player pieces, might be.
Well, Awakened Realms puts so much attention to detail.
This is nice, though. And the player boards are robust. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, and we've seen, the way these player boards work was really cool with your character and putting all your equipment and weapons, and everything slots in. And pretty much everything you're slotting in is also like heavy duty as well. So we have some storage trays.
We got a lot of stuff. It's gonna be a problem of.
This is cool. This is not part of your campaign binder, but this is just a bag, and it's
the stash.
It's your stash, and you'll put tokens and cards and stuff inside.
Basically, when you're saving your game, I assume.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just where you.
It does have these little clips, but it didn't tell us to put it in the campaign binder, so we didn't. But
yeah, we haven't looked into it too closely.
Like, slot it in there because. The campaign binder does have this thing where you put your missions. So when you open which we're about to see, you can see all of the different cards that come in the game: mission cards, item cards, equipment cards.
Yeah, a lot of storage for tokens, just empty trays. Then you've got this tray. I'm going to break out some of the miniatures, which we'll show pictures of. And we did this in our preview too, but these are the final guys. The miniatures look really, really nice.
Like I said, a lot has changed since that preview video, so maybe we'll go back and kind of do some more content on this.
They've got little ammo clips, which are pretty cool as currency. And actually a few different types. Yeah. You know, these are 3 different types of ammo clips.
1s, 3s, and 5s, or 1s, 5s, 10s.
Maybe.
And then, of course, tons of tokens.
Custom dice.
Well, you know, standees if you're using or bases if you're using the standees. We're going to use the miniatures.
Yeah.
All the tokens you could ever want. Look at all these different kinds of tokens.
So there's lots of cards and packs here, which we won't open. But one thing I wanted to point out is this, which I think this was mentioned, but we didn't have anything. I don't think we had little boxes.
We had little boxes.
Oh, did we?
They just weren't this nice.
So they have these little boxes, each shrink wrapped for, I guess, the missions. One nice touch. So they're in here like this, in this order. It says A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. But once you've done this one called Rescuing Dalek, if you flip the box over,
mission completed.
Mission completed.
That's a cool little touch.
Little silly touch, but very cool.
What else do we have in here? We have the character cards tucked in here.
Yeah, all sorts of cards. I'll break these out and put up some pictures. But again, I think a lot of this, since it is a campaign game based on our play of the prototype, there's definitely story things that unfold while you're playing that you probably wouldn't want ruined.
Well, for sure. There's a lot, and I mentioned earlier that there's a lot of exploration in this game. I mean, there's a ton.
I remember having a good time with this prototype. Yeah. Again, I don't play a lot of these games. In fact, I will say I've probably played more of these types of games since we did that content. Not tons, but a little bit more.
You've been getting more into that style.
So deep diving into the bigger, longer campaign sort of games. But I remember playing this and really enjoying sort of the sound thing that was going on in the mechanics and the way it was just unfolding, where you'd like, oh, I want to see what's over there, walk over there, investigate.
I want to play it again with the final rules.
Agamonia vibes in terms of the kind of things that it was doing for me as a gamer anyway.
So
toss it all back in.
That is,
we got other boxes.
That's the base box. So I think for organization's sake.
There you go. Move that out of the way. I'll start. I'm going to start with this here. In no particular order. We've got some Playmats here.
I was like, that's 2 Playmats. I was like, what is that?
They're different sizes.
And
so we've
different
got
styles.
Yeah, I think all these are the player those look like the player Playmats. Here's one.
Oh, these are all player Playmats.
One is this the same? Yeah. One more player Playmat. So all of these are that, which are really nice.
These are really cool looking too.
I don't know if this was part of. I can't imagine these were part of the base game.
That is an awesome playmat.
But then you've got this one, which looks like it's a map where you're going to manage a lot of. Game.
This is where you'll put the cards, the different alert tokens.
And I have to say, I appreciate the inclusion of this sort of thing in a game like this because I'm never a big fan of having to lay out decks of cards on a plain table like this.
Yeah.
I remember. I just like knowing where things go.
Well, this leans into the thematic nature. I think one thing that they really nailed with Stalker was the ambiance of the game, the theme of the game. It's present in the artwork. It's present I mean, look at the background. Like, this feels like something that would exist in Stalker.
Yeah.
And you got another box?
We do. This is nothing. I just want to get it out of the way. Sleeves. A box of sleeves.
I didn't know they had their own sleeve company.
Awaken Guard.
Yeah, wasn't even aware.
I mean, I assume it's not just a happy coincidence that they're working with another company called Awaken something.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they were doing like the RPG accessories, but this whole Awaken Guard thing.
Yeah, I think I want to say they've done that for a couple games already.
Are they already? Okay. That might be true.
This is nice. This will hold all those cards.
All right, let's talk about expanding out the game because this is a campaign game, and we do have some expansion boxes here. So we have this one, for example, which is the Zone Threats Pack. And this is going to just be a ton more enemies that you can fight. Again, some of these miniatures might replace some of the cardboard in the basic game, but also there's new stuff as well.
Yeah, they of course have the little guide to show you where all the guys go, which I
appreciate.
I definitely appreciate. Like, I mean, usually, like with this, there's a variety, but you can kind of tell where they go. Oh yeah.
These are super cool.
I have said many, many times on the channel how much I love the sun drop effect.
Oh yeah, it's such a cool
There's
effect.
nothing, I don't need them painted. Honestly, I prefer the way these look right now.
Do we have more buried under there? Oh yeah,
oh yeah, wait until you see this. And of course, we've seen this in a lot of other games recently.
And I love it. This technology, I love it.
That is such a cool miniature. Like, that is really,
well, then
really
in like
cool.
Awaken Realms fashion, this looks like it could have been an Ether Fields model right here.
Yeah, there's some weird. Cool. The game has some mutant-y sort of like people affected by Chernobyl.
Right, Stalker does. Stalker has that kind of.
And then I think this is the guy who's on the front of this box.
Oh, that's cool.
Which looking. we had some of these miniatures. They weren't quite this well finished.
Well, this is a big one from the campaign image. This elk, like corrupted elk thing. That's pretty cool too.
Yeah, so a lot of cool miniatures. That elk
goes in somehow.
There you go. I just don't want to destroy any miniatures before we play it. Here you go.
After we play is fine, right?
Also, there's some anomalies. So these are obviously going to go hand in hand with those overlays that we talked about. These have a ton of those like cool effects. So you can see these in action here. A lot of the extra colored plastic. I mean, in fact, all of them have.
Yeah, I love the look of these.
That is super cool. Like, why would you need to paint miniatures if you had this set of Sundrop minis? Like, it's.
I wouldn't paint even the Sundrop. Yeah, any of the Sundrop ones because they look so good.
Yeah, agreed. Like, there's a lot of cool pieces. This one's cool too. Like the fact that it like incorporates terrain and a little touch of that.
Yeah, it's cool.
Very, very good stuff. What's next?
Yeah, do yours. I want to say mine. It's very personal to me. All right, so I'm gonna save it for last.
The next one is the terrain model pack. This one has not only plastic terrain, but more cardboard.
You know what?
So you're creating a lot of like houses and structures on the map with that. And you can see on the back, there's trees.
Completely unnecessary, but for me, also 100% necessary. We've talked a lot on this channel about 3D terrain and how sometimes it might not really add anything gameplay-wise. Like, it's all marked on the map, so you don't necessarily need the buildings. But man, I'm willing to do the little bit of extra effort.
Oh, yeah.
To put, I mean,
Oh yeah.
If I'm playing a game for the experience of the game, I want that experience to be as engrossing and immersive as possible.
We did it when we played Earthsworn. There wasn't a time where we didn't get the trees out of the box to put them on there. And there's a lot of boxes to go through when you're doing that. But yeah, look here. It shows. I mean, these are pretty intricate situations. But yeah, it adds a lot, and it also helps remind you from a practical standpoint to ask yourself questions about line of sight.
Right.
Where you're like,
help.
oh wait, I missed this. There's a double red line here. There's a wall there, so you're gonna like naturally go, oh wait a minute, do I have line of sight here?
Right. This is not just for aesthetics. Like, it does help with the gameplay as well, and then you get all the the boxes and the barrels and the crates and everything.
I will put pictures of these up. There's one of these pieces of terrain that I just thought looked so awesome. Like, look at that. Look at the depth of that.
Well,
it's just a thin wall, but it looks like it has so much depth. Well, that one literally
has depth. Little barricade here.
But the sun drop effect on these compared to if they were just gray plastic.
Yeah, it's huge. Again,
it's amazing. Like, these things look so cool.
This is becoming a sun drop.
And I did save some of the terrain
from the
miniatures
prototype?
from the prototype we had, just because I thought it was cool. But yeah, seeing it in its final form.
Yeah. Is there anything hiding underneath, or is this just deep enough that it needs another layer?
There might be a tray for storage of all the cardboard, probably.
Oh yeah, that's nice. So you can keep all the terrain.
Yeah, I wonder if the cardboard is such that you take it apart.
It looks like you might have to take it apart.
Because that's not like built stuff. It doesn't look like.
Yeah, because the trees look pretty big, so it is really hard to tell.
I will say that is a little. That is one thing that sometimes can stand in the way of people doing the terrain is like
storing it.
Well, no, just like, do I take it apart or do I just set it over on a table somewhere?
I have my Everdell tree still together. It's just out with all my board game stuff on the top of my.
That one I have no problem building.
All right.
Okay, that is it for my stuff.
Yeah, we got one more little tiny expansion, which I think is one of the coolest ones actually for me. This is the Personal Stories box. This is going to be just more that leads into the narrative of the game, which is really at the end of the day why I'm playing it. I enjoy the tactical element of the game.
Ooh, I don't know if maybe we shouldn't look at.
Oh yes, there is some of this spoilers.
I don't know. There's components in here. We'll say spoiler alert for this portion. I don't want you. I
don't think it's spoilers. It's more story cards and more characters.
Just don't look too closely. But there might be things here that would come out.
Yeah, this whole book. I'm not going to show any of this. This is a storybook as well that features just more stories that your character can get involved with. I mean, it's a little thing. It's a little expansion, but it's pretty cool to me that you can expand this game out. Like, you can play the campaign multiple times, but because of all the different side stuff that you can encounter, the different memories, the different personal stories, and
that's
even
right,
like
the whole memories thing.
The exploration cards, all that stuff is going to change the game, which is why you probably want to play the campaign multiple times.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have to say, I'm maybe even more intimidated right now than I was before we unboxed everything. But yeah, I will put some pictures up all throughout this video, specifically of that rule book, because I gotta tell you, I want to play it. That rule book's going to take me. It's not just a one-sitting read. That is not a one-sitting read. That's going to be a multi-sitting read. It's going to be a little post-it note thing to highlight things that I don't want to forget. So there is a lot to this game, but I think it might be worth it.
Yeah.
Based on our prototype experience,
and the fact that there's a tutorial that you can play through that kind of guides you through a lot of that, I think is a big help.
Once you read the rules.
Yeah.
Once you read the rules. But that is our unboxing and discussion about Stalker. If you have any questions at all about it, or if you're a backer and you're looking forward to it and you've got thoughts on the game in general, let us know in the comments below. Until next time, though, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.